Welcome to the Pacific Northwest and Portland International Raceway as the SRO Motorsports America TC America Championship this weekend travels to this beautiful location here in North America. For today, the 10th round of the TCR and the 8th round of the TCA Championship as the cars have formed up on the grid as we are ready to go. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 59th Annual Rose Cup Races presented by Fast Life TV. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. We have Ryan Marine down in the pits and on the grid at this point, and a good grid it is. And Cal, as we take a look at it, two things of note. The TCA class, which will start in a split start behind, top 5 covered by 0.4 of a second. Up front, the TCR class, top 5 covered by 0.2 of a second. I don't think it can get closer than that.
I don't think it can, Greg, and we've got 4 different manufacturers represented in that top 5 on the TCR grid. We saw a great battle here yesterday as an FCP Euro front row sweep. Can they celebrate their CEO's wedding here this weekend? Scott Droves and his wife, Allison, congratulations. Maybe they can bring home the big victory here today.
And down amongst all of those beautiful TC machines is Ryan Marine.
Hey, thank you, Greg. It's a fantastic grid of cars. There's no doubt about that. A couple of Volkswagens on the front row with Michael Hertzen taking the pole position. Nate Vincent will take the second spot. Looking at this second row, we've got Mason Filippi, yesterday's winner. He'll start in third. James Walker in the Alpha had a really good race going before a CV joint failure yesterday. The team has changed that overnight. In fact, that part came off of the chassis that they wrecked back at St. Pete. He's ready to go. Expect him to be quick as well. Then you got Michael McCann Jr. and Brian Putt a little bit further back in the TCR field. A couple notes from the TCA side of things. A couple cars that had some engine changes overnight. Robert Crocker and PJ Gronke, who we spoke to yesterday when his engine let go. Those 2 cars should be set, and expect those Subarus to be on a charge.
Absolutely. PJ Gronke had been showing some really solid speed, but had that mechanical issue, and so close at the sharp end of this field. And Chris Haldeman, it's been very, very fast as well. Looking forward to this one being a good one. It's funny with that Alfa Romeo and that CV joint being harvested off of the car that wrecked at St. Pete. The driver, James Walker, said, yeah, apparently we've got an organ donor replacement program here with the field. Let's get down to the front of the grid for that command to start engines and get this one underway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Great job by Brooke DeBoer as she sets this field on its way here, coming to life. Big entry, obviously. We've got 28 cars total between the 2 classes, and let's not forget the TCR Cup category for the cars in TCR that aren't running the sequential gearbox. Brian Putt having himself a remarkable season in that category, out to a huge lead in the early going. Yeah,
5 wins so far, including the victory here yesterday, so he'll look to consolidate that here this afternoon, but he's got a lot of attention from behind. Stephen Vader's been really quick here this weekend once again, and Christian Cole, so it will not come easy for Brian Putt to get another win here today. Trying to get life into these engines. Whitmer, what a day it was yesterday. It looked like his championship lead was going to be cut down to 4, but Max had a little spin late in the go and recovered to a podium, but has blown out that championship lead just a little bit.
It was actually an amazing final lap by Maxon because he dropped well back and was able to sneak through and really put in that great run. I think one of the great surprises in a way here this weekend, Cal, has been Michael McCann Jr. He's been running in TCR Cup at Sonoma, ended up on his roof in a practice session. They couldn't make the race. He ended up not running at all there, and they said we had a new car ready for the TCR Cup category, but we didn't think we could get it prepped in time. They had the car that Britt Casey ran in the TCR class with the full sequential system, decided to run him in it. He's 0.4 off a pole. I mean, what a turnout.
Yeah, it was a great lap by yesterday. He's actually just a 1/10.5 off the pole position. So really, really quick, a solid run yesterday. And I think that'll give him a lot of confidence. He can really fight with some of these front runners here.
Let's take a look at this track. We've talked about it many times, Cal. It's flat, but it's challenging.
There's a lot to it. Starts off with that chicane there, the Shelton chicane, very tight, difficult to get through, particularly on the opening laps. And then a very tight, twisty section. You need a lot of patience. Then that long, twisting back stretch. Tough to make a pass there. Then some really quick stuff to finish off the lap.
And this field expecting 2 formation laps. They are out and underway for the first of those 2 formation laps here as we get set to go racing once again for round 10 in TCR and round 8 in TCA at Portland. What are we expecting to see here, Cal, from You know, obviously up in the TCR field, these cars are so fast. I mean, they run almost GT4 level times, a lot of aero, but they don't have driver aids, and all that power is being transferred down to the front wheels.
Yeah, it's relatively cool conditions, but it's a summer day, so a high temperature shouldn't be a big issue. You can see the guys really working hard now to generate a little bit of temp into those Pirelli P0s. I think for this racetrack, it's hard to pass, but I think with these TCR machines, it is possible. They generate so much downforce, you can run 2 lines through some of the corners and make it stick. So for Mason Filippi, starting on the inside of row 2, can he extend his win streak? He's got 4 wins this year. He's not really in the hunt for the championship. Hertzen has a brilliant run, going 9 consecutive podiums. He's never been off the podium, in fact, all season long. So he has the pole and the championship lead, but you've got to feel that Hyundai, starting on row 2, will be looking to make some moves.
You know, we talked about how tough this track is to pass. Track position is everything. When you've got a track that's difficult to pass on, it makes the defense on somebody even easier, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, drama here for Gronchi early.
Unbelievable.
So much work goes into these efforts to be here for the weekend, to have disaster yesterday and then work hard overnight to change that motor.
You can hear it. It's got life on occasion, and now it is coming to a complete stop, it would appear. PJ, former TCB class champion, loves racing in this series.
Just so frustrating. Just seems like as soon as he tries to give it throttle, it just peters out.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that some of these cars, and it's just, you know, when you take a absolutely stock production car and you convert it into a race car, there's all these codes that are buried sometimes, and that can just absolutely frustrate the crew like mad, because you get a code that buries and kicks it into limp mode or preservation mode or whatever, and you might be dealing with that. And of course, you do an engine change, you didn't have a warm-up this morning. This is your 1 lap.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it looks like we may have to delay the start. I imagine the clock will start ticking, because obviously everyone's fuel on board is based on not doing an additional formation lap. But he's right at pit in, so if he can get some life and just somehow cycle it over to pit lane, we should be good to go. But he's in a very awkward moment there.
Welcome back, everybody, and issues here. PJ Gronchi, after an engine change overnight, no warm-up lap, and they apparently have run into a problem, and it looks like the green flag start might be delayed. The race will start. You can see the lights are still on the Acura pace and safety vehicle. This is a 40-minute timed event, and we're on a sort of a time-certain schedule, so the clock will start running when they go by start-finish, but the green flag will be delayed. PJ doing everything he possibly can to get that car to come back to life and at least get it down into pit lane. But Cal, right now, it is going nowhere.
No, that's unfortunate, and you know, racing is a tough game, and there's a lot of effort. Where if you really did a chart of where it all begins and everyone gets together here on these race weekends, it's a monster effort. And then to have drama yesterday and go through the motions of changing that engine out, and to have this happen on the basically the formation lap is very sad to see. But this is a resilient group. Certainly PJ's very resilient. He'll bounce back. He always has a smile on his face, but I'm sure he's very sad right now.
Yeah, this will be frustrating, no question. He comes down from Canada for all the races, absolutely loves it, but he's just had one of those years. You know, call it character building, but he's a character to start with, so he'll deal with it just fine, but it will be frustrating. So getting him pulled off right into the pit lane, so I would anticipate we should be going able to go green here as the field works right now through turn 6. This a couple of interesting things here in terms of tires. Talking to a lot of the drivers, Cal, they said you don't have a lot of tire deg, but particularly turns 4 through 5 and that 11-12 complex, they said you can actually overheat those left fronts, whether it's front drive or not. They do take a little bit of a pasting through there.
They do, and you're leaning on them. Obviously a clockwise circuit, so the left side tires will take a bit of a beating, and when you got front wheel drive machines like we have in all of the TCR cars, it's putting a heavy load through that left front corners. You got to be considerate of that, but this is a low tire deck circuit, so they should be good for, it's essentially going to be about a 37-minute sprint race now.
Right, and the lights out on the Acura safety vehicle, so we are going to be going green. One thing, TCR by design, every car built really to the same rule book spec, front drive, engines layout in those cars. In the TCA category, we have a mix, and so we anticipate those Hondas from X Factor Racing in particular probably being pretty quick early, but you ask so much of the fronts, they've got to get the job done right on the off. So here we go, field working through. this final turn 12 and getting set. Clock has started, so the 40 minutes has already begun, but the racing is just about to commence here at Portland International Raceway. Once again, you cannot move out of line until the green, but when it flies, it is game on. And watch for the start stand. Ooh, a couple of early moves. We're green.
Yeah, you saw Gonzalez there had been demoted to the back of the pack, so he poked his nose a little bit early. Be curious to see what the stewards do about that. Vincent tries to squeeze Philippi there, really close on the entry to the Shelton chicane.
And look at McCann trying to work around James Walker.
Spin in the back as Maxon's around.
Oh, that's huge in terms of the points. Maxon around Nuremberg and the yellow Mini involved as well.
He just got tagged there, a critical moment, no real tire temperature yet.
And just a tremendous start by the number 3 of McCann, able to sneak around Walker and that silver Audi from McCann Motorsports up now into that 5th spot, excuse me, that 4th spot. So great run there. And boy, you can see just how intent Vincent was on keeping Filippi behind him. It was like, yeah, track position, we keep on that.
Yeah, really funnels down. There's a difficult one to get through there cleanly. Everyone behaved nicely, gave each other a little bit of racing room and racing respect. Now they'll just try and get into a rhythm as now Walker starts to rebound a little bit, tries to put the pressure back on McCann for that 4th position.
Yeah, McCann a little defensive heading down into turn 10 in this quick chicane. Let's see what Walker's able to do. There's a nice start once again by Brian Putt. He's moved up.
Philippi really wide there, as is Walker there, coming off turn 12 onto this front straightaway. He lost a bit of ground to the FCP Euro duo up front.
One of the things Walker said, he said he's been overdriving turn 1 a little bit. He said he has to rein that in so we can get out of 2 a little bit cleaner. And everybody funnels through. Let's go back and take a look at that start. We'll get to it in just a second here as we're watching here. Filippi a little wide there again, isn't he, Cal?
Yeah, looks like he's struggling for grip right now. We saw it through turn 12, finishing off the first lap. Couldn't really keep the car completely underneath him. Ran really wide, so maybe they just started the tire pressures a little bit lower, looking at the longer run here.
All right, here's a look at the start. Watch for McCann, that silver Audi is kind of buried there. It just drives right up the inside of Walker.
Yeah,
nice move.
Yeah, Vincent, a little late move there, getting back over to the right side to defend, and you saw Philippi have to take evasive action that last McCann go around. There's that little touch in the back of the TCR field with the front runners in TCA.
Boy, and I think Bettenhausen got really lucky when Maxon went around. He could have easily drifted into him. It looks like they just missed each other. All right, out of 12 once again onto this front straight. A little bit tighter that time for Filippi.
Yeah, he's hooked up now. So he's got those tires into their sweet spot. Michael Hertzen with the championship lead. What a season he's put together. Only 2 victories, but never been off the podium.
Problems on that left front for the Mini of Nuremberg.
It's a shame Pombo had issues early yesterday. Now it's the sister car that was coming off a podium run here yesterday, finished 2nd.
Speaking of Pombo, though, what a start he had after those issues yesterday. Starting back in the 5th spot, he's 3rd. So he certainly took advantage at the start. Maxon having that bit of a moment.
Yeah, I think we had some cars like Pombo a little out of position. Your grid slot for today is set from laps yesterday, so if you had problems early, there's never really a chance to get that lap time down in the books.
Right.
So it's kind of a double whammy. If you have problems early in race 1, it affects your grid slot for race 2.
Here's that battle for the lead in TCA. Nick Whitmer in that blue and white Subaru from Tech Sport Racing. Haldeman in that orange and black Honda Civic SI from X Factor, and then Pombo right behind him in that STEP Mini.
Hearing that the incident down in turn 1 on the opening lap there where Maxon went around was involving Nuremberg, so maybe that's where the Mini suffered the cut tire.
So Pombo anxious. Again, that's a front drive car, as are the Hondas. They want to get it done early, and a lot of times we've seen Whitmer this year. He doesn't worry too much about if he loses the lead early. He just saves those tires and then comes back with a vengeance later in the race. But it's pretty racy right from the off today, doesn't he?
He really does. Haldeman had the pole here yesterday, and then Whitmer went to work. And look at McCann. He is right up with Filippi right now. This is a great opening few laps for him. Got around Walker early and now is closed in on the top 3.
So Hertzen has opened up a little bit of a lead. The battle for second between Vincent and Filippi and McCann is on. Good scrap for second. Hertzen's been able to gap him just a little bit by over about a second. There he goes, and then here is this great battle. Vincent, Filippi, and McCann. And then number 3, McCann got a nice run, but as you said, Cal, there's just not a lot you can often do with it.
It's really tough. It's a tough track to pass on, particularly around that back section. Even, I mean, turn 7 is such a critical corner to get on at that back stretch, but even if you get a good launch, tough to make a move by the time you get to the brake zone. It's such a high-speed entry, particularly in these TCR cars that have a lot of aero.
And folks, let's just put this into perspective here. Mike McCann, up until this year, his only racing experience, actual racing experience, was on 3-wheelers and off-road competition. He'd done a lot of track days and that sort of thing, but he'd never raced before. He just set fast lap of this race.
Yeah, that's amazing. He's
this is
really
pretty
in a
impressive.
groove, yeah, and it's just going to get better. He's going to gain confidence week in, week out. That was really weird. Hertzen had over a half-second lead as they crossed the stripe. I'm not sure if he just had a little bobble there down into the Shelton chicane because suddenly his teammate is all over him.
Well, the last lap, he ran a 120.9, Vincent a 120.2. So something happened somewhere. And it looks like they're closer still, Cal.
Yeah, he looked really comfortable.
Yeah.
He'd got a nice wingman in his teammate, but the wingman is second in points. So I think Nate Fince is still going to keep it pretty racy until they start to feel pressure from outside their own camp.
Haldeman has slipped around Whitmer and picked up the lead in TCA, just to keep you updated on that. Leading in TCR Cup is Brian Putt, the point leader, in the number 15 Euro Parts Roll Racing entry.
James Walker's not going away either. Sits there in that 5th position in the Alfa Risi Competizione. Did a test day here on an MX-5 Cup car to learn the circuit, which is really a big leg up. Good for his engineer, Rick Mayer, this weekend. He said that really helped things enormously, just got us back on track. And here we see Hertzen there feeling the pressure from behind from his teammate.
What a great group. 5 cars. We talked about how close these guys were covered. 0.2 of a second separating them in terms of the starting lineup, and it's showing in this race right now. Here's a look at Gonzalez. He's putting some pressure on Putt right now. Again, it's a different class of car. That Pombo?
That's in the secondary pit lane.
Yeah, I think he just overshot.
Missed the corner. Just got through the entry and the exit there and rejoins the fray.
Yeah, exactly. That's Taylor Hagler that he's coming in with. Watch Pombo right there. Ooh, way fast.
Oh, that's a nice save at the end of the day. Find some tarmac finally. Said, no, I've been down here before.
Yeah, so this is what the drag strip launch looks like. All right.
Probably hit the rev limiter on the way to turn 1. He got a big launch.
Problems for Pombo as he has dropped back the order, now tucks in right behind Tyler Maxson, who had that contact in the opening lap. They are both chasing right now. Taylor Hagler, who had a tremendous race yesterday in her X-Factor CRX-SI with a 5th place finish, now up into 4th, but has one of the fastest guys on the track right behind him. Let's check into the pit lane with Ryan.
Louis Paracarpi oversees the LAP Motorsports team, the minis that you've seen out on track. Nate, with the problem on the opening lap, did you get a sense for what happened with him?
I haven't seen it. I just heard that somebody cut the cross and the chicane took his, they just all came together, I guess. They're probably something similar to what happened to Mark yesterday also at the start. So, it's tough. That chicane's always been a challenge, especially at start. So, yeah, unfortunately, he's a down a lap. We put a tire in, and I don't know. Mark seems to be doing okay. I don't know where they're at right now, but yeah.
It sounds like he had a bit of a moment while we were kind of standing around waiting to get the interview set up. But what has he said about the car? How are the cars handling around this racetrack?
Yeah, it's good. I think we've been working on trying to figure out the tire for the last 3 events, and it seems like we kind of have a little bit of control of it now. The next challenge is can it last the whole session, right? So we normally run up front early on, and then you know, with the tire degradation, we just start losing pace. So we'll see. This track, the temperature, it's kind of been working all right for us. So we'll see here at the end of the day in the next 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, it's been an eventful first 15 for Pombo. He'd started, we said, back in 5th and worked his way up into 2nd when he had that off. Has fallen back at that point to the 6th spot, and now has himself up into the top 5 once again. And this is one of the Tech Sports Subarus. Can't pick up the number. And we have a full course caution out right now. Is that over in the chicane?
I believe so. I think it's exiting the Shelton chicane there.
Yep.
It's a weird angle to be in.
You almost think that he may have been tipped and come right across the front of another car. Let's see if we can spot it here, Cal. There he is in the back. Oh, just got crossed up. Oh.
That's probably a decent impact there. You can see the ripple effect down through the tire bundles, but he had a lot of speed going when it just hooked on him.
So is the field now being brought under control by the safety car? We'll reset things. It still Hertzen, Vincent, and Filippi up front in the overall and TCR category. It is the 15 of Putt, Steven Vida, and the 18 and the 27 of Cole in TCR Cup. And Halderman, Whitmer, and the 25 of Strollo are leading in TCA. And the SRO Motorsports America medical car have arrived on the scene. And they're going to be talking to the driver at this point, giving some instruction to race control about what the best thing to do in terms of getting this incident cleared up a little bit. And you see there's an obvious reason why those tire barriers are there, but they have been dislodged a bit, haven't they? That was a significant off.
It was on the power and got a little bit loose and then just kind of hook slid back across the racetrack.
Part of the things they're assessing is what's the damage to the car and being able to get the car moved. All right, that's the best piece of news. Driver is out.
Obviously pinned in on the driver's side door, so he's getting out the passenger side there, and it's difficult to do with the roll cage and everything inside one of these race cars.
Absolutely, and anytime you've got any kind of a contact like that, even if you seem like you're just fine, they always say, yeah, well, guess what? We're going to run you into the medical center and just have them give you a look-see, which is a smart thing to do. But good news, got out under their own power. So now it's just a matter of getting that car extracted from the barriers. And the bigger question then becomes, what kind of barrier repair might there need to be done?
Those tire bundles do a wonderful job of just gradually slowing the race cars down.
Just absorb energy, lots of energy, and that's a big thing. As we're sitting here under this full course caution, what's happening in the pit lane, Ryan?
Checked in with the Tech Sport guys. They really weren't sure a whole lot about what happened to Robert, but some good news, albeit a little bit late for the Tech Sport guys. PJ Gronke is back out on track. They were able to identify whatever the problem was with that car. We saw him pull off before the race even began. Spent several laps here in the pit lane as the team went to work there. Good news for him. He is back on track trying to salvage some points.
That is good, just to have him out there. Obviously, even if you have a problem like that, you come a long way to race. You at least want to get some laps in. And for Robert Crocker, this has been a frustrating stretch for him. Talked to him earlier, and they're having a problem with the car. After it would initially start, it would be fine. When they'd shut it off and then restart, it would kick into this limp mode. So that's why they did that engine swap. And he said, hopefully that's been solved, and I'm looking forward to the race. And then you have something like this.
Yeah, tough weekend for a couple of their drivers, obviously, but they'll regroup. I mean, it's a great organization, and they run a lot of cars very effectively. They're always in the hunt, it seems.
Wrecker is on scene and about ready to extract the Tech Sport Racing Subaru of Robert Crocker, who had that off over in the Shelton chicane. He's out under his own power, fine. He will make the mandatory visit to the infield medical center, but walked over to the safety vehicle. So just getting this car pulled out of the barriers, and then assessing what kind of barrier repair we might have to do before we can get this field back to racing here. 23 plus minutes still left on the clock, so depending upon how quick that car extraction and then the repair is, there's still time for some pretty good racing here.
Oh, absolutely, and everyone's going to be ready to go. And ANSI had the delay on the initial start with PJ Gronke's issue down at pit in, and this will take away any of those tire degradation concerns that some of the competitors had. I don't think everyone, but some did, so should be smooth sailing tire-wise for the rest of the event.
Well, everybody in TCA with a front-drive car is certainly going to be grinning, I would think, at this point. And even some in TCR. And speaking of TCR, let's get down to Ryan, who's with Rick Mayer from Risi Competizione.
Yes, their car 5th place right now. James Walker behind the wheel of the Alpha. Had a great run going yesterday before the mechanical issue. You were able to get it all ready to go. And you were telling me earlier today over dinner last night, you guys came up with a strategy that might be a winning one.
Yeah, we talked a bit and looked at the video from yesterday and kind of figured out what we had to do to make the car better in the important parts here, because the track's pretty much handed. And we made a couple of pretty large changes, and James says the car's better today.
That's great to hear. And no concerns over the part that you had to put in. I know it came off of the chassis that you used at St. Petersburg earlier in the year.
We weren't thrilled about it because it wasn't brand new, but it's all we had. So we're confident it'll make the race, and we'll go change some parts out before we go to Watkins.
Finally, what has he said about the cars so far, the way the race has played out to this point?
He says the car's good. He says he's talking right now. He says no funny sounds or no funny vibrations. Car's good. He says the balance of the car is good. He thinks the setup's good. Just hopefully we get some green running here, because normally we're better at the end of the race.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Boy, and he's right about that. One of the things we've noticed, James Walker's MO generally is first race of the weekend, he's okay. Second race of the weekend, fast laps, wicked quick.
Yeah, really quick. So when you work in that mode, you don't want to see these sort of like temporary pauses in a race. But I wonder if they got like more of a lime rock setup on it in terms of giving up the left-handers a little bit and just really focusing on the right-hand turns. And that's one of the things when you think hard and you got enough time, you suddenly come up with these innovative and creative ways to get around a race circuit, and it seems to be working okay.
Yeah, always tweaking in the cars. As Nate Vincent said yesterday at the end of the race, you going to make any changes? It seems good. Yeah, probably a couple, because we just can't help ourselves. But doing a nice job, that FCP Euro team under caution here. 1-2 right now. Having a look there at that number 34 Paget Brake Systems, Hella Paget Brake Systems entry of Walker. Interesting what he does as a trade. He's an automotive engineer and is very involved in crash research and the like, and just has some, you know, he says it really gives him some interesting applications that, you know, to racing, where he can sort of recreate things a little bit and then figure out a solution for it. And he said it's really been fun. He's done racing, did a lot of Spec Miata racing back in the day, and then got hooked up with Risi in Ferrari Challenge and realized, he said, I really wanted to give this TCR thing a try, and Risi agreed to go with me on it. And boy, he's been just a great addition to this paddock.
Well, he develops ABS systems, I believe, as well, but unfortunately he doesn't have one on these cars. TCR cars do have ABS available, but globally, in any race under an hour, you're not allowed to utilize that, or any TC as well.
All right, here's the extraction for Crocker's car. And they've got it at least removed from the barriers. Now they've got to get it up and out of there. Must be some, obviously you would expect there's some pretty significant damage up at the front of the car, and it's making it a little bit difficult to get that car moved the way they would like it to. So I think now the wise move is they're just going to get the wrecker in and get it up in the air and get it out.
I think the key, as you mentioned earlier, Greg, is how they're going to rebundle those tires, and particularly the strapping that goes around it.
Yeah, it looks like there's a secondary layer in front of the even taller barrier behind, and that's what got significantly dislodged.
Mm-hmm. Don't seem too concerned about it. I don't see anyone working on the tire bundles yet. Maybe they'll just leave it alone.
All right, up on the hook. Interesting that that gentleman is doing at the back with whatever they're spraying on the tires back there. Haven't really seen that happen before. So the number 24 Techsport Subaru of Robert Crocker now on the hook behind the wrecker and is going to be taken into a safe area after a fairly significant off. Good news is he was able to walk to the medical vehicle under his own power. And now we're just waiting to see what, if any, kind of repair happens to the tire barrier. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to racing, but time is clicking away now.
It is. It's going to make a lot of really antsy drivers out there. It's going to be a really short sprint to the checkered flag here this afternoon, so better keep those tires nice and clean. Try and maintain a little bit of tire temperature as well, which you can do that by just working the brake pedal against the throttle pedal, building a little bit of temp into the brake system up through the wheel and then ultimately into the tire itself. Red flag is flying there, Greg.
Oh, it sure is.
I assume they believe it's going to be a lengthy enough fix to those tire barriers that we wouldn't see any more green action.
But yeah, the red flag usually would mean the clock would stop. They go into pit lane and get restarted. But at least at this stage, the clock is continuing to click away. So not exactly sure the MO at this stage here. Because if they were going to end the race, normally you'd have the red and the checker at this stage, and there are some checkers there, but that's just general flags side. So maybe we can get an update from Ryan in pit lane.
Well, we'll see. I was planning on chatting with Dean Copeland under the yellow. Now we're under the red. Did you get any more information from race control than we have? All we know right now is that it is red. And do you know if we're planning on restarting first and foremost?
Yeah, all I've gotten over race control is I want everybody to come in, I guess, so that we can stop the clock, so we can salvage what little bit of race we have left. I guess it's a little more extensive cleanup than what they had planned for. So hopefully we can go back green and see if we can advance our position in both classes. Kind of a rough start for both of our guys. Mason got brake checked by one of the Volkswagens on the start. Not happy about it, you know, but we're going to salvage what we can. Hopefully we can go back green and kind of march back forward there. Tyler Maxson, some more unfortunate events. Nate Nornberg, kind of the yellow Mini Cooper, just took advantage of him and flat out dumped him. So Tyler fell back, but thankfully we got a yellow, so we're up to fourth, back in contention. Hopefully we can go back green and salvage a good day.
You mentioned some problems for Mason at the start, but we always talk about how cool he is behind the wheel. If anyone's able to handle a little bit of misfortune right off the bat, it's probably him, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mason's his tone and attitude never seems to change on the radio despite whatever conditions he's throwing. So he says the car's good. You know, he was just kind of, you know, finding his strong points and his weaknesses behind. You know, we were still plenty of time left in the race, and now, you know, we got a little bit of a yellow and red incidents to deal with here. So I think if we go back green, I think we'll be okay. You know, we just got to play the cards we're dealt.
Mechanically, what does this stoppage do, having the cars sit there? It sounds like they've just shut off the engines, but taking in a little bit of heat, not moving around for a while, that's not really what these cars are designed for.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's not optimal. However, I know there we were getting not any temperatures to worry about, but running as close as they are, they were seeing higher temps than, you know, we would like to see. So if anything, this might help us out. So hopefully we can get them cooled down sitting here on pit lane. You know, they're all hanging out now. So if anybody's hot, it's the drivers and they're cooking in the car. So hopefully we'll go back green. Yeah, guys, thanks.
You just saw a look, caught the replay there of the incident with Tyler and Norenberg.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tough corner to negotiate through and get through there cleanly. I think it was 2 into 1 wouldn't go and really lay the blame at either one of the drivers there.
Yeah.
I think for Maxson, he just needed to run the outside a little bit further into turn 1 before cutting back across, looking for the apex at 2. Norenberg was there and he got turned. As I said before, you're not got the full tire temperature, you get a little bump, you're typically going to go for a ride.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, you know, going to his comment about Filippi and Vincent, I don't know that Vincent brake checked him, but he aggressively shut the door.
And then jumped on the brake.
And then jumped on the brake. But you have to make that turn, right? That's the argument here. So this is the issue, is just trying to get these bands and everything put together. So the last thing you want is to have something that, you know, you want these tires to take the car, absorb the energy, and guide them along. And when you get these these little damage sections that can sometimes launch the car, which is exactly what you don't want. So that's why we're stopping. And what may be happening here is the clock might continue to run, and then they'll do a reset on the time, possibly. We have seen that happen in the past where they'll do a reset on the time and get them going again. So at this stage...
Well, obviously you got a busy race schedule here this afternoon, so you got to be conscious of that. Maybe they'll run it down to a certain point and then stop the clock, so at least we can get a restart in and get a few laps under green before the checkered flag flies. Sally McNulty, she's a happy camper, been having a very strong weekend.
Yes, she has. Best finish of the year yesterday.
Girls have been doing good.
You have Taylor Hagler right there in that mix for another top 5 finish in the number 77 entry. And really happy for Stephen Zhu as he was involved in an incident yesterday, and now he's knocking on the door of a potential top 5 very competitive 7th when this came out. So some opportunity there for him at this stage. But everybody just sort of in sit and wait mode at this moment. And I think one of the reasons they just brought everybody into the pit lane and stopped is to get the equipment out there that they wanted in that Shelton chicane to fix that. You don't want to have cars dodging it lap after lap after lap. It just doesn't make sense.
No, and it's tough to negotiate through those tire bundles. If you do go straight there in the newly named Shelton chicane, there's those tire bundles you got to negotiate through. You couldn't have the full field doing that. So making the right calls here, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of green flag running before the end of the day.
You know, while we've been talking about some of the other drivers out there, the guy sitting 3rd in TCA right now in the number 25 Tech Sport entry, Cole Corallo, best finish so far this year is a 6th. He's podium position. So a lot of people have just upped their game here at Portland. And down and amongst all the cars parked in pit lane right now, Ryan, what's up?
Tim Heinlein joining me now. You got a couple cars sitting in pretty good spots as it stands. What does this red flag do for you and your team?
Well, we did a lot of adjustments overnight. HRD crew worked very hard to get it where the cars are today, so the FCP Euro guys can show off today. We are in good spot, obviously, but we don't know if we're going to come back to racing at all or not. But as long as we get back, we'll do the same thing we did in the first half, hold our position, make the cars as wide as possible, so the FCP Euro, Liqui Moly guys can look really good at the end.
I know you said that you made those changes overnight. You can't tell us your secrets, but what kind of things were you looking at, areas where you could improve from race 1 to race 2?
Well, we had difficulty passing, obviously, Mason yesterday, so we made sure that at the end of the straightaways maybe we get some gains from yesterday so we can get underneath him if it's necessary. But luckily he sits behind us, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, now you got to keep him there, though. You know that Hyundai is fast. Mason's proven that the last couple of rounds of the championship. That drives you guys, though, right? Having somebody who's nipping at your heels, forcing you to be better.
Of course. As you saw, TCR did pretty good this week. All the cars are within a half a second. So while it makes your job a little bit more difficult, it's also fun to be in that environment. So Mason is fast, but I think we're pretty close. So when you're that close, it's difficult to pass. And my boys will do everything they can to make sure he can pass them.
Thank you, Tiff. Good luck.
Thank you. Enjoy the race.
You know, it's a competition, and you know, yeah, you like to get the wins and everything, but they don't mean as much if you're just seconds faster than everybody else. And having teams out there that are going to push you a little bit, it makes those wins sweeter when they come.
Oh, it really does, and it's been a tough championship so far this year. Even though Hertzen has a big lead in the points right now due to his consistency, they recognize that every weekend is going to be a tough fight, particularly when Philippi shows up. He hasn't done all of the rounds, but when he does, that Hyundai is a very, very potent weapon that he has to work with.
And we have certainly heard through the rumor mill that team, Copeland and the Philippis, are planning to run the rest of the season. So you're absolutely right, Cal. This championship is by no means settled just yet. Mount Hood, that is one beautiful peak up there, part of the Cascade Range. And there's actually a beautiful lodge right up on the top of that mountain, a timber line where the tree line ends. gorgeous lodge. And it doesn't have a glacier, but it has a year-round snowpack. So the U.S. Olympic skiing team does a lot of summer training up on the top of Mount Hood. It's a pretty neat place. Great place to go spend a little bit of time.
It's been beautiful conditions out here this weekend compared to last year when we had triple-digit numbers. In the mid-60s this morning, creeping into the 70s, and probably peak around 80, I would think, here today. But just a wonderful place to be at this time of the year.
Good look there at the number 99, the Honda Civic Type R, that through an amazingly cagey setup on the car and some amazing driving, Victor Gonzalez won the first of the 2 rounds at Sonoma with a tire preservation clinic extraordinaire, and backed it up with another podium in the second race. But what a delightful addition after missing the first round. He's been to the championship.
It's been quick here this weekend. He's only 3/10 off the fastest time in the race yesterday. And spoke to him about running here at Portland. He said, I actually ran here back in the mid-90s in the North American Touring Car Championship. So that's gone back a few years, but certainly great memories here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get down to the pit lane again, and Ryan.
Speaking of Victor Gonzalez, one of the smallest crews in the paddock, Mariano Cruz, joining us here. He is pretty much the muscle behind this team. It was a really small operation. Seems like you got a couple more people under the tent here this time around.
We had one guy that coming with us from Costa Rica. Is a guy that worked before with Victor and all the center of America. And we're joining more people and the team. We got news that we're growing up the next year. We're gonna bring a guy from Guatemala that is coming with us, and the family is growing up very fast.
It's great to see, and a new sponsor on the car as well after your success in Sonoma.
Yeah, it's our proud Puerto Rican beer, is Medalla. Medalla Light is with us today, and all the sponsors are Puerto Rican sponsors supporting us to be a new team, a Latin team here in TCA America.
And it takes a real effort for you guys to be here. Between Sonoma and this race, you had to take the car all the way back to Florida and then back to the West Coast here to Portland. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Our home base is in Orlando. In Orlando is pretty good because a lot of Puerto Ricans living there. All the team go back to Puerto Rico, coming back to the States, and Victor and the crew chief and the guys drive from Orlando to Portland, and this night they're going back then.
It's a fantastic story. We're so happy to have you in the championship. Continued success. Good luck once we get back to green.
We're going to work very good this weekend. We have some issues with the steering wheel. One of the sensors was broke from the pilot shift, and we couldn't do our job on the quali. And yesterday we have some issue with the brakes, but we're fixed it for today. We began today 9. We're now 6. We hope to do our best today.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, and a new sponsor on the car, a new beer in the paddock. Life's good.
It is.
Absolutely.
They're ready to celebrate, that's for sure. Some real characters up and down pit lane. Just so much passion in this sport to get these cars here, particularly when you're going from one coast to the other, as Ryan discussed.
All right, getting some clarification here, and we'll confirm it, but early reports are that they're going to release the field cal, and then when the pace car comes in and the green flag comes out, the clock will reset to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Is what we're hearing. So we'll make sure that's confirmed, but that's what we're hearing at this stage, which is good news because that gives us a number of laps of some good racing.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd do that. I kept seeing the clock wind down, so I'm like, it's going to be really tight to get them out there and get them back around in time to see any sort of action. So 10-minute sprint race. Hang on.
Absolutely. Everybody, as you said, is going to be antsy. The Acura safety vehicle starts moving and the field follows along here at Portland International Raceway as this 10th round of the TCR Championship, 8th round of TCA, is going to resume. Field is heading back out on track. And we have confirmation from race control that as the field comes around, when the green flag flies, the clock will reset to 10 minutes. So, Cal, we've got some life in this race yet.
We got some real life going to spring into action here. Everyone's had a chance to digest what happened in the first part of this race. Can't touch the cars under it in terms of any adjustments, but certainly a chance to think about your strategy, where your competitors may have a slight advantage or disadvantage, how you can pounce here. It will be a very short 10-minute sprint to the finish.
Are we expecting a little bit of RG and Bargy, perhaps?
Oh, you never know.
It's going to be exciting, whatever unfolds here.
Depends how badly you want it. It's tough to pass around here, so sometimes it takes some extra commitment to get inside of someone. These tires are going to be in really good shape. Haven't done a lot of hard running here today, so no one should have any tire deg. The grip level will be up, but again, just getting them cleaned off right now and up to some sort of operating temperature is going to be the key on this formation lap before we get back to racing.
And I really think the people that are licking their chops a little bit are the TCA X-Factor Hondas and those minis. Front drive, they haven't had enough running to take a lot out of those fronts. They can lean on them a little bit, and they're going to have some opportunity. We know Chris Haldeman in that car that's leading right now, the 69, is just wickedly quick and talented. And with this long caution and some really good tires on him, I think Whitmer might have his hands full, and Maxon might have his hands full with a guy named Pombo, too. Yeah, well, Max is going to try and get back to the front. He got tipped early and has had to be on the rebound here a little bit, but he's got a fast car. He's back up to 4th position and some time to work with. And Girallo right there in that mix, that blue number 25, 3rd in line there in that TCR field coming up behind him. But here we go, working through turn 12. And Hertzen wasting no time going early, but Vincent maybe got delayed a little bit, didn't jump on it quite right, and Philippi has got an opportunity. Cal, he takes an early look. He's looking, he can't pass till he gets to the stripe, so we didn't get the green, I don't think. We didn't get a start. Well, that is a bit surprising. As we said, now the clock should be resetting. But, yeah, no start. And there's really no rule on the restart. You could be out of line all you want. You just can't be past the car in front of you. So I'm not sure, unless there was a late call, perhaps from race control, that there was some issue on the track that they wanted to give one more lap to be able to address. But now everybody's blood up for a minute. Now they got to calm it down again and then refocus. Well, these drivers are being put to the test, aren't they? If you had a trick and you used it, you've now given the game away to your competitors. Just take a look here. Yeah, we're getting a report. Race control said they weren't in the proper lineup. Again, as long as you haven't gone around somebody in front of you. Supposedly on restart, the lineup isn't an issue, it's position. I wonder if maybe they thought Hertzen went too early, possibly. But normally you get that last couple of corners to roll into. Off the last corner, you're allowed to roll into. Maybe they just felt he went too aggressively and jumped the pack a little bit. And you go back and take a look at the TCA field, and they're just perfectly line astern. You're going, if this is going to be waved off, it's not going to be because of us. So we get to try it again here. Watch for Philippi. He's going to really just try and time this. Wants to be closing that gap as they get to the stripe so he can pop out and then just try and make a move down into the Shelton chicane. It's tough when you got two teammates working together on these restarts. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the way Hertzen's calmed it down a little bit this time, I think maybe it was race control talked to him a little bit. But now we are back to green. And we'll get a confirmation on what kind of time we have left in this one. Well, they're certainly sprayed out here, but as long as they don't pass anyone before the stripe, you're okay to go. Look at Gonzalez right up there in the mix alongside Walker as they get to the turn-in point. Walker walks the outside line. Nice job, but McCann gets back on the power and reclaims the position, it looked like. And Christian Cole put a move on Stephen Vita and got through, and a problem there. That is the 25 of Corallo, who we thought was on his way possibly to an easy best finish, and he just got swallowed up in the chicane, Cal. Yeah, Hagler was involved there as well. She went backwards a little bit in terms of the order. And looking for a clock, on our scoring monitor, it shows 440 left in this one. So apparently, even though they didn't get the green, the clock started.
Whitman now putting the pressure on Haldeman as they exit turn 7. This is the battle that we're looking at there. Tails away for the TCA lead. Haldeman has it in the Honda. Whitmer putting the pressure on. Maxon dropped a little bit.
Absolutely, and for Whitmer, he wants Pombo in that red Mini to just attack, obviously, on Maxon a little bit. Take his attention away. Sorry, Cal.
Maxon second in the points right now, the closest pursuer to Whitmer, who has the championship lead. Look at Whitmer on the power early.
Rolling speed.
Big difference there. Could be the gear race, a little bit of debris flying there off at turn 12. Haldeman to the middle of the road.
And he's gapping Whitmer, and look who's coming. Maxon got some good closing rate speed. Thought about a move on Whitmer, but couldn't get quite close enough to execute.
Yeah, that Mazda's got really good straightaway speed. We saw that here yesterday.
All right, here we go into turn 4. Haldeman, wide arc. Pombo even wider. Oh, there's Sally McNulty after her best finish of the season yesterday. Problem in the Shelton chicane. Gets it gathered up and goes. Up front, hey, those two FCP Euro entries, Cal, have been able to gap Philippi a little bit.
We saw that on the initial start, that Philippi couldn't really get the energy into his tires and get the grip. Does he have enough time? Clock is winding down quickly, under 3 minutes to go, so Philippi's got to get on the attack quickly, otherwise it'll be a 1-2 for FCP Euro.
Oh, and look at this, Whitmer having to defend on Maxon now as they head down into turn 10. And Maxon just drove by him.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
Mazda's really got prodigious straightaway speed.
But this is where Whitmer rolls some huge speed. Maxon up to it, though, but Haldeman continues to hang on to the lead. And getting back to Philippi, I wonder if they didn't put a setup on that car, as you alluded to earlier, that was going to be better late in the race. And now it's going to bite him, and we have been confirmed. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left. This lap probably, and one more.
Whitmer down to 4th. Look at Pombo down to the inside. Whitmer tries to come back and swings across, takes the position back. That was close.
Watch Pombo trying to undercut here. Drag race out of 2 now. Pombo way down to the inside, heading into 4, and Maxon attacking on the outside. Pombo might make this work, Cal.
Good, it's Max attack.
Well, Whitmer just
for the lead.
Whoa. Little Canadian ice racing slide there.
Whitmer just doesn't want to give it up. He doesn't want to lose any more points. We said before, Maxon is closest to him in the points. Can he max out the score and get by Haldeman here and grab the win? That would be huge for him. Swept the weekend at Sonoma to really close down that points gap.
Absolutely. Ooh, wide run there. May have been Steven Zhu. Look at this.
Haldeman just taking the left lane there. He's being proactive in terms of picking that line, making Maxon go the long way around, but he's not close enough to cut and paste the move he did on Whitmer. The Mini's through. Whitmer's down to 4th.
Oh boy, and the leaders overall have taken the white flag. This is the last lap that the TCA class will be starting here. Here they are. It's still Hertzen, Vincent, Philippi.
Philippi coming back at them. Looks like his tires are coming back into their comfort zone. Does he have anything left for these VWs? Looking for a 1-2 finish here.
And Walker might be under attack here from Gonzalez as we go back to this one. Whitmer going to try everything he can. He needs to get in front of Pombo. Look at that, how quick Maxon is, and Haldeman has to go into just full defense mode.
He does. That Mazda has a lot of speed. Don't count out Pombo either. He's right there. He can spring a surprise. He's not afraid to stick it in.
All right, through 4A and 5 now. 6. Does anybody do the straight line to the apex in 7 here, Cal?
Got to be thinking about it. It's a legit passing opportunity.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. He does it.
Oh, contact, and he's sideways. He saved it, lost a lot of momentum. Pombo's through.
And he's
probably
got
Whitmer as well. Look at Pombo going after Haldeman. Meanwhile, the win. Great drive by Hertzen, Vincent, Philippi. McCann hanging on to 4th, Walker in 5th, and here we go. Pombo and Haldeman side by side down into Turn 10, so close. Pombo had the line. Haldeman floating a little wide. Whitmer going to try and cut underneath.
Whitmer to the inside of Haldeman. Pombo clears them. He has the lead as a race to the stripe.
Oh, and that may have really slowed up Whitmer. That may have made a mistake and let Maxon come along. He did. Whitmer may have been better off just trying to follow Haldeman through, but Pombo comes through with the STP Mini for a big, big win. Haldeman in second, Maxon and Whitmer. That's your point scenario right there. And then Taylor Hagler repeating her best finisher, another top 5 finish. She had a 3rd earlier in the year, but what a run. And I guess the good news for Whitmer is, 3rd to 4th, not as much of a point spread as 1st to 2nd. So there's a little salve for that wound, perhaps.
Yeah. That was a heck of a battle. I wish it could have gone on longer.
Absolutely. It was brilliant stuff. Let's go back and take another look here at that big moment here, right here.
Well, you talked about Maxon going for the lead there on the entry at turn 7. He gets demoted all the way down to 4th momentarily.
Yep. But just could not. They got a way to get around it, and then Whitmer tried that inside move into 11, and you could just sense that was going to pinch him down too much, and went from 3rd to 4th. Wow, what a finish here in both classes, in TCR and TCA in Portland. That certainly was entertaining. And
hold on,
yeah,
we said.
And by not going to green on that, it cost him maybe 2 more laps of racing. But not like, they still put on a phenomenal show.
They really did. Congrats to Michael Hertzen. Hangs on there for a brilliant victory. His 3rd of the year, will extend his points lead. 10 consecutive podium finishes for that man.
Yeah, what a season he is having. In terms of consistency, and then when you have that kind of consistency, you can stack a win in an occasion. With, again, that huge swing 1st to 2nd, that's massive.
It is 7 points between 1st and 2nd. 25 points for a win here, 18 for 2nd. Big day for FCP Euro.
Once again, how about Michael McCann, his first start in the TCR category? Most of the race had fast lap. Hertzen took it late in the going, but he ends up with a 4th, Walker in 5th. And Putt and Cole getting around Vita in that last restart as well. A delighted Michael Hertzen crawls out of the number 71 FCP Euro Cortico machine after putting together a well-driven, well-earned win. And you've talked about it, Cal. He's Mr. Consistency, but you throw in these wins every once in a while. That is absolutely massive, and he's getting ready to have a chat with Ryan Marine.
Michael, congratulations. That was a big celebration. How special was this win?
This is great. The team at HRD worked really hard. We had the transmission out of the car twice this weekend, and every time they put it back together flawlessly. Car was great. I got to thank everybody back home at FCP Euro and Licomali and Corteco for making this possible. And yeah, it was a really good race car. Unfortunate for the red flag situation, but we had enough pace to keep everybody in bay.
How tough was it sitting there under that red flag?
It was pretty hot. The water temps were rising, and I was thinking, man, am I gonna have to start this? Is it gonna start again? And yeah, we were able to get it going and then hold them off at the end. I think I set my fast lap after it cooled down. So yeah, really great result for the team, and really happy to be here.
Well done.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely fast lap in the race, so played it incredibly well. There's a look at the results. If it's a white block with the number panel, that is a TCR Cup car, and if it's gray, it is TCA. Pombo, Haldeman, Maxon, Whitmer, and Taylor Hagler. Your top 5, and boy, what a battle in that class right down.
It was fantastic. What a last lap. That was one for the ages right there. But getting back to the front here with the TCR, Philippe's got to be frustrated we didn't see more green flag action.
Absolutely. Let's get down to our winner in TCR Cup with Brian Putt and Ryan.
That's right, Brian. Congratulations, a class win today. How'd you get it done?
Well, after that restart, Cole was pushing me really hard, and my tires hadn't come back in quite as much, so working through 6 and 7 was hard. On the very last lap, I had to cover him off. He was going for it, and I was able to move on the inside and take away his momentum, and then it was just a matter of getting around through 12 and finishing off, so it's a good feeling. It was hard fought today.
Congratulations, well earned.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
Yeah, he has just strung together an amazing debut season in this
6
class.
wins now.
Doesn't get a whole lot better than that for a guy who hadn't driven for a lot of years and then came back into SCCA competition running in small prototypes. And said, I like the downforce, and they heard, but I would like to race some GT stuff. And they said, well, you know, TCR has a lot of downforce. He said, well, let's give it a go. And what a story it's been. Speaking of great stories, boy, what an up-and-down weekend for Mr. Pombo that ended rather well, Ryan.
Yeah, it's an up-and-down weekend, an up-and-down race, and you end up in the prize position. Congratulations. Let's go back to that final couple of laps, though, that ultimately got you the win.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. On the restart, I was 5th, had a good battle for the first 10 minutes of the race, and made a little mistake through turn 11, lost some ground. The caution got us back up there, and a little bit of patience. I knew that they were going to be battling up front. My goal was just to get in front, try to get in front of Whitmer going into the last lap. And sure enough, going into the last straight on the back straightaway, they touched, and I had an opening, and I just tried to take advantage of it, man. It was awesome. The car was a little free, especially to the right, so it was hard to push, but it all worked out. Sometimes patience gets you the win.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Can I also got to say, like, the John Cooper Works racing team and the service technician education program that keeps this car on the track has been unbelievable. We've had a lot of problems this weekend, silly stuff, most of them driver error, and they've really stepped up to make sure that we got these cars on track and we're able to win.
Takes a team effort for sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, nice bit of honesty there, and thanking the crews or the unsung heroes. That's classy for sure. That was an interesting race. 2 different races really at the start. You can see the 2 FCP cars, an aggressive move by Nate Vincent, keeping Filippi at bay, and then that bit of a moment with Norenberg and Maxon that put Maxon behind the 8 ball a bit.
Yeah, he rebounded nicely, and then a great battle here. McCann was on fire early, really putting the pressure on Mason in the early going.
And that great battle in TCR Cup as well with Putt, Cole, and Vita. And then this attack late in the going here. And you can see that Vincent just trying everything he could, but it just Hertzen had it figured out here. And then this war right at the end, Cal, in TCA was spectacular.
It was a great race. Fun to be here. Great racetrack. Nice weather.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Here's that moment Pombo alluded to.
Here's the winner.
Yeah, this exactly.
Who would have thunk it?
It's the guy you won, and he lost an amazingly small amount of time. Then this big incident by Robert Crocker had a red flag, and it reset everything. We restarted with 10 minutes to go, lost a bunch of that time with one more pace lap, and then a great war right at the end. And in the end, it was Hertzen, Putt, and Pombo, your winners.